Hey, you guys. Hope you're well. So, stop selling your music. A few weeks ago, a YouTuber named Damian Keys made a video called Stop Selling Music. And he got quite a bit of reaction from that video. Much of the reaction was very negative. And I just want to state this up front. As a music producer who has had big cuts and I've made great money from that, as a guy who worked inside the business in publishing, I can tell you that he's right on so many points. If people want to argue with him, they can argue with him. But the points he made were really valid. However, I think that somehow there's a general tone in the video, and I don't think he intended this. I think he sort of corrected course in some of his other videos. I think the general tone suggested to some people that all hope maybe was lost, that somehow you can't make money selling your music. And I disagree with that idea. I absolutely am not telling my audience to stop selling their music. I just think that you have to figure out where your music is exploitable these days. So I want to tell you where I think music has always been sellable, and for the foreseeable future, I can't imagine anything changing there. And that's with music licensing. And I've talked about this in other videos, but I want to get into the specifics today because I think that once the artist or songwriter or producer understands the power of music licensing, the opportunities that come along with film, television, placing music in commercials or videos, I think you need to understand the power that gives you to make direct income, but also how that can influence your impact on your audience, growing your audience, building your brand. So here we go. So a few weeks ago, Damian Keys made a video called Stop Selling Music. And it turns out that it was such a volatile topic that at one point somebody started making death threats to him, which, as he pointed out, is completely ridiculous. He's got a great point. He's got good information in his videos, and it's worth seeing. But I think that rather than telling people to stop selling their music, we need to be talking about how you can make money with your music and how there are great opportunities to make a lot of money with your music. First of all, Damian's point about selling physical product, there's no question. He's absolutely right. I mean, there are some foreign territories that you still buy music on CD, but, they're small markets. Most of the world is buying their music online or streaming their music online. Second of all, the idea of making money in a streaming world. Look, you can make money streaming, but unfortunately streaming, I've talked about this before, when the deals were being negotiated for the streaming revenues, record companies came in and however they did it, they managed to take a huge chunk of the streaming revenue. And that's left songwriters wondering how I can have a million streams of something and make $10 or $12. It's just the way it is structured right now, and I hope that changes in the future. But one thing that has never changed, it was true 10 years ago, it was true 30 years ago, true today, is that if you can get your music in licensing opportunities, film, television, video, commercials, those things still can pay good money. On the low level, you can make anywhere with a song placement, you can make anywhere from $1,000, $6,000, $10,000. In a big placement, you may be able to make, $15,000 to $60,000. If you have a really big song out there, if you really do have a song that's doing something amazing out there, your song can be worth $250,000 and above. So if you're trying to figure out how you can make money with your songs, something that's tried and true, that's probably not going to go away anytime soon, you need to look at music licensing. And I'm going to talk about some of the places that you can look to license your music today. You could start working it today. So first of all, let's talk about music, the type of music that works well in licensing opportunities. One thing that's interesting when you're sitting with a creative staff in a publishing company in a meeting, you're going to have some of the staff that their area is urban music. Or you're going to have some of the staff that are managing songwriters that strictly write pop music. Those individuals are often somewhat frustrated with the licensing process because straight pop music and urban music, rhythmic music, those things don't seem to find a home as easily or as quickly in the advertising world, in the licensing world, as often stuff that is more left of center, quirky, alt, indie. It's almost like the stuff that's really popular on radio and really popular with fans. Somehow that music doesn't as quickly translate to licensing opportunities. And some of that is probably driven by the economics of it. What's cheaper to get? Is it cheaper to find an alternative or indie band that maybe is kind of bubbling beneath the surface? Maybe they have fans, people know who they are, they're cool, but they're still trying to make it so you can get their music cheaper than, say, going to the major artist flavor of the day and trying to license their music. But I think there's more to it. It's often these left of center moments musically that just work. Maybe it's a car commercial and the music has a retro feel, or maybe it's just something that's kind of quirky and indie, but it's just fun. A lot of times it's bands that are kind of bubbling beneath the surface. You know, a good example of a very licensable act would be an act like Sophie Tucker. Those guys are quirky. They're super cool. If you just look at their image alone, that it feels like it's fresh, it's young. A youthful audience is going to be attracted to that music. They're going to be attracted to the image of the band. I want to show you a couple examples of the use of something that's kind of quirky or retro in a couple of commercials here. And I want you to think about how this music works with the commercial and why it works. That song was written by an artist called Boom Bap Pow. It's a cool song. It's super quirky. It's got a 60s vibe to it. I don't think most of us would have ever heard of this song had it not been for that commercial. But that commercial probably made them a big chunk of money. It fueled their career for a minute, got them into kind of new avenues. Let me show you another example.
Hey, Chuck, kick the bait.
Check out the low end on this thing.
Somebody call a doctor, because I got a bad case of buggy fever.
I got my paws in the air and I don't care.
Super crazy, super fun. All right, so I'll spend a few minutes talking about some of the kind of opportunities that you can access. You know, if you're in a place where you can obtain a publishing deal, there's some great opportunities there. One of the things I would say about licensing, if you tie yourself into a major publishing deal like Universal Music or Warner Chappell or something like that, you may find that their licensing department is so inundated with requests that your music may just get lost in the shuffle. These smaller publishers, these little boutique companies, those guys sometimes actually spend more time developing relationships with sync-oriented opportunity companies where they can place songs in film and television. Often they're not huge money, but they're very consistent. And if you're tied into one of those companies, you're probably a bigger fish in a smaller pond, and so your songs will have an opportunity. And the type of money that you can make on a song has to do with how big the usage is. You know, is it a commercial that's in one territory, or does it cover the country? Is it in a television show where it's prominently featured, or is it just something sort of subliminal beneath dialogue? A few years ago, I had a song in a television show called The Starter Wife. And it was a song that I wrote with Gina Schock and Sally Dworsky. The song probably would have never seen the light of day. It would have never had any opportunity. But Gina Schock's publisher, which was a smaller publisher, went out and got this song placed. And my share of the income on that placement was probably under $10,000. But that's way better than having a song that's just collecting dust on the shelf, right? But if you're not yet to a point in your career where you can get a publishing deal, that's okay. I want to show you some opportunities that are online right now, places that you can get your music out, you could set it up and get going. So this is a site that I've talked about before called Music X-Ray. The upside is that there are many opportunities through this site and they're easily accessible. The downside is you have to pay a fee to access the pitch. But through this site, you can do everything from get reviews on your music, you can pitch to opportunities for film and television, you can pitch to record labels for artists. It's really a full service site. All right, so once you've created your own page at Music X-Ray, the first thing you need to do is upload some of your music. Okay, so when you look at their Browse Opportunities page, pretty well organized. Looking at the list over here on the left, you'll see that there's label deals. Here's the one that I'm really talking about today, sync licensing, TV, movies, videos. It says right now there are 248 different opportunities for licensing. All right, here's one that actually tells you some things about the money. 5,000 all rights for independent feature film. You see that the payout is anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. So here's the outline. Music needed for an independent feature film that tells the story of a 17-year-old who's sent away by his family to stay with his uncle after getting into trouble. All right, you get some idea of what the theme is. Music needs to be of the highest production value, genre, and music guide. The music will be critical in setting the tone and will be used in the background to tell the protagonist's story. The music needs to be melodic, ambient, emotional, and communicate the intense feeling of isolation and the feeling of being alone in a desert. All right, and down here at the bottom, there are actually music references you can go listen to, see what they're looking for. If you like this opportunity, if you feel it's right for you, just click this button. It's going to be a total of $15 to pitch this. Here it's got all my songs up here, so I can pitch any number of the songs that I have. The fee is going to apply for each song here, so it's not like for $15 I can pitch 20 songs. I would always suggest that when you're pitching songs to an opportunity like this, you keep it down to 2 to 4 songs max. All right, one other site I want to show you. All right, so this is a company called Song Trader. Now, 2 things happen here. One is you can pitch your songs to opportunities here, but also here, the opportunities will come searching through your catalog. You'll see that I have a spot here for my profile in the dashboard, which is what opens up to your page initially. You'll see over here, there's some options for music wanted. There's options for distribution. If you want to really start here, music wanted. So how about this right off the bat? In the style of Echo and the Bunnymen. That's fun. Looking for post-punk alternative rock tracks like Killing Moon for use in a horror film. All right, to sum it up, no question in my mind, Mr. Damian Keyes, he had some great points. There's no question that he is spot on some things. I just think the tone of the conversation needs to focus on what is doable. All right, you guys, please like, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and until next time.